I've got Cody Cleverly. Cody is the Workforce Development Lead at Joby Aviation, where he oversees talent pipelines, training programs for pilots, mechanics, and manufacturing technicians. He's a commercial pilot, flight instructor, with deep industry experience from his time at JetBlue, but I'm thinking his time at Joby has now eclipsed his impact, at least, and where he has led talent, learning, and workforce development initiatives. He's got a master's degree in business and a master's degree in human resource management from Utah State University, bringing his entrepreneurial spirit, having co-founded and operated a successful e-commerce business before joining Joby in 21. Next, to his right, we have Dr. Jackie Cruz. She is the Vice President of Hartnell College and the Executive Director of Hartnell College Foundation. A visionary and impactful leader here in the Monterey Bay area and throughout California. She, with a focus in workforce and community development, she has spearheaded multiple campaigns and forged impactful partnerships with industry, education, and government to expand opportunity and close equity gaps in the Salinas Valley. She's a proud Hartnell alumna. She holds degrees from Chapman University and a doctorate from UCSC. And she continues to serve on several influential boards, including Digital Nest and Rancho Cielo. Thank you for being here. To her right, another doctor, Dr. Becca Fenwick, who leads the Citrus Initiative for Drone Education and Research, otherwise known as CIDR, at UC Santa Cruz, bringing together students, researchers, and industry to build a diverse and future-ready drone workforce. With a background in marine geology, land conservation, and environmental technology, she brings a unique interdisciplinary approach to workforce development in emerging technologies. I think we share some of that natural science background, and I think it's a great entree for people to use these tools to explore the world. She collaborates closely with regional partners represented here to create inclusive pathways in drone and automation careers across the Central Coast. Not holding a formal doctoral degree, but I would say representing a doctoral's level of expertise in founding and community engaging through the Mujeres en Acción organization. Maria Elena Manzo is a leadership and economic self-sufficiency leader, program leader, empowering women in Monterey and Santa Cruz counties. She's a longtime community leader and former farm worker. Maria Elena has spent decades organizing for equity and opportunity, including connecting women in her network to emerging workforce pathways like Joby Aviation's apprenticeship program. She is also a founding leader of COPA and has played a pivotal role in expanding healthcare access and advocating for community-led solutions across the region. And finally, last but not least, to my left, we have Elizabeth Posey. Elizabeth Posey is an advisor to many of us here, but formally, she is a program officer at the James Irvine Foundation, where she leads the Salinas and Stockton Priority Communities portfolios, and you'll learn more about what those are. With a deep background in public health, organizing, and philanthropy, Liz has been instrumental in advancing racial and economic justice across California, including, fundamentally, helping conceive of and launch the DART Joby Advanced Manufacturing Apprenticeship Pilot. She brings a powerful track record of aligning funders and strategies to expand opportunities in underrepresented communities throughout California. Thank you all for being here. So I'm going to take just a few minutes to set some regional context, and there's a big regional context, and I'm hardly going to scratch the surface of it, but I will tell you some of the relevant parts that affect this particular body of work and what we're doing around advanced air mobility workforce development. And for me, and for many of us here in the region, for me personally, the key piece of that has to do with the closure of the former Fort Ord. With many of you may not be aware, many of you may know, but there used to be here in Monterey the largest, it was a 45 square mile U.S. Army infantry training ground where most of the troops that went to the Pacific Theater from World War II up to and through the Vietnam War and actually beyond were trained here. And as part of the 1994 BRAC round, that base was closed, which, for anyone who's familiar with base closures in communities, has a significant impact on the economy. And so that's where I sort of came in the story, working as economic development and then executive officer there for the last third of that 25-year mission. And along with walking out from the closure of a public agency in June of 2020, of course, we walked out into the pandemic, which had substantial impacts across the country and the world, of course, but especially here in Monterey County, where the impacts were particularly acute in the farm worker community because of the density of housing and other conditions that they have to work. And if you recall, they were designated as critical employees, so they were not, you can't pick the produce of the world from home. And so that impact contributed to some of the big challenges that we've been working to overcome. And I think that if there's one little chart I included is one chart on a really amazing body of work done by the Institute for Social Transformation at UC Santa Cruz that just is attempting to illustrate the amount of people's earning that they have to spend on just housing alone. So I already mentioned the cost of housing being a big deal. On the positive side, the emergence of Joby Aviation out of the hills of Santa Cruz and landing at the Marina Airport beginning in around 2018. One of my good stories there is I picked up the phone and heard a guy saying, I'm trying to reach somebody at the Marina Airport, and can you help me? And so that was my economic development guy. I said, yes, I can do that. So that set off a thing, and man, for those who were on the tour yesterday, you can see that is just an amazing program that's growing and has really transformed some opportunities and allowed us to move forward in the specific program of work around advanced air mobility, workforce development, and also in this autonomous systems arena with really a big opportunity in the agricultural space. So with that as some background, I would like to kind of try to bring in my panelists now. And Liz, I think I would like to invite you to talk a little bit about the James Irvine Foundation. Tell us some of the background of the entity itself, and then what this Priority Communities Initiative, and why are you interested in what we're doing, and here in Salinas in particular.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of your faces. So the James Irvine Foundation is an independent private foundation focused on the state of California. Our mission is a California where all low-income Californians can advance economically. And we do that through a number of initiatives. We have an initiative that's focused on making work better, really focused on low-wage industries, and supporting the ability of workers to organize and build strategies to improve work conditions, fight back against wage theft. We have an initiative that's focused on statewide policy change that centers the needs of low-income communities and low-wage workers, looking at social safety net supports and making sure that they are expanding to cover all those who need them. We are looking at, we have a workforce vertical called Better Careers, where we're looking at pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships, changing the way that workforce boards, public workforce boards work in community, more closely in community, to address communities that have multiple barriers of access. And then we have priority communities. We are the third initiative that was birthed coming right at the time the pandemic happened, the COVID pandemic happened. And so we had to adapt when we started doing our grant making. We are the only place-based grant making initiative at Irvine Foundation, and we're focused on the interior of the state. So we're in inland and central California. And we look at communities where there is a proliferation of low-wage work and a lack of good quality jobs and lack of access, particularly for communities of color, to those good quality jobs. And we work to change the way in which economic development happens to center the needs and the voices of low-income communities of color and low-wage workers. And we're in making deep place-based investments here in Salinas and Stockton and Fresno. We've added Merced recently, Riverside, and San Bernardino. And so it's a rich body of work with a lot of partners. We have education institutions, economic development organizations, community-based organizations, all coming together in new ways to pilot new ways of building economic opportunity in the region, but also doing economic planning differently. And then folks who are also building strategies to improve working conditions for industries that are existing. And so this is just one part of what we're supporting here with our partners here on the stage, but we're also working on strategies here in Salinas for folks without work authorization status to have pathways to good quality jobs. We're working with folks who work in ag to help increase land ownership and business opportunity for those who started out as farm workers but wanted to become farm owners and landowners. And so I think part of the takeaway or to kick things off is to think about how do we get the DNA right and piloting some new things. And I think that's really what this story is about. Josh and I met, and I think we had a couple of beers and had a conversation about what the real opportunities were in this region, but also where the real challenges are. This is a philanthropic desert. There's not as much philanthropic investment in this region across all the priority community regions. There are some real constraints to doing development in this region in ways that don't cause further harm to the communities who are really struggling to make a living, put food on their tables, and take care of their families. And so trying to figure out how do you start to demonstrate what might be possible. And so it started out with this pilot around a advanced manufacturing apprenticeship, really to demonstrate both to community what was possible, to demonstrate to private industry that there's talent here in the region and there are partners who are willing to come together in new ways in order to help get folks access to those opportunities, but also to meet the needs of industry in order to expand. And that through that pilot, so much has grown, out of that small piece of work. And so I share that for those of you that are sometimes think you need so much investment in order to make things happen. And in order to do things differently, a lot of times what you need is momentum. And you need to start small and get the partnerships right, get inclusion right, get equity right, and then grow it from there. And so hopefully you'll hear more about that story from some of my fellow panelists.
Great, thank you. Yeah, great setup. And I will point out that it was actually our 2021 conference that we met and shared that beer. It was still the pandemic. We had organized sessions in the morning on Zoom, and then we met up at 3 different locations around the region in the afternoons, and so we got to spend time. So these types of convenings can be catalysts for great things. And, I think as I turn it over to Cody to talk about the Joby perspective on all of this, one of the things after I got the phone call in 2021 from our friend Scott Berry, one of the early Joby people, who flew in on a helicopter at the Marina Airport to pitch their vision for what was coming. Immediately we began thinking, okay, you want to grow an aerospace manufacturing company here in Monterey County. Let's look around and see how many aerospace manufacturers there are. Well, there sure weren't a whole lot. There were some boat makers and surfboard shapers and other things like that, and a few aerospace people, but not many. And so that was really a fundamental question. How can we upskill our workers, because we definitely want it to be local workforce, and make sure that not only they could get into these jobs, but they met the needs of the company, because we definitely want them to be successful. And so Cody came, I think it was right about the time, it was like 22, when Liz and I, after we finished the beer, and 6 months later or so, we sat down and were trying to figure out what we were going to do with this opportunity of support. And we brought Cody in to be our partner and say, hey, look, if we could, what would it take to do an apprenticeship, an earn and learn program to get people with very low or no specific skills in this arena and get them on board to be useful contributors to making this thing happen. And I think that was the beginning of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh put it very politely. A few years ago, everyone said, you cannot build an advanced manufacturing company on the central coast of California. And even if you can, you'd be crazy to actually do it, right? And that's kind of the reality where these conversations were happening in. And one powerful thing about this advanced air mobility industry is that there's obviously a heavy hardware component, right? We're building aircraft, highly technologically advanced aircraft, hence the proximity to Silicon Valley, hence Joby specifically being founded in Santa Cruz. But you've got to build aircraft. And first you have to build prototypes. And then you have to build subscale prototypes. And you have to prove the aircraft airframe and the actuators and the propulsion. And then you gradually build larger prototypes until you get a full-scale prototype. And eventually you realize as an R&D company, an engineering company, that actually you're turning into a manufacturing company. And it can be very challenging for companies in that situation to co-locate manufacturing, even very small-scale prototype manufacturing, where you tend to have tech talent, in this case in proximity to Silicon Valley. And we needed to prove that the local workforce, which does not have a heritage in advanced manufacturing, doesn't have a heritage in aerospace. Frankly, the educational institutions in the region haven't historically had robust training and education programs that would facilitate that type of workforce. But can you train folks who are passionate about learning new skills, who want a new opportunity? Can you train them in an apprenticeship model? And of course, the answer is that you absolutely can. So I think the next slide, Josh, gives us a good sense for some outcomes. So we kicked off the Advanced Manufacturing Apprenticeship Pilot back in, really it was late 2022 when we hired the first apprentice. Since then, we've hired over 70 apprentices into the program, all paid 6-month apprenticeship programs, earn and learn model in advanced manufacturing, where they both receive industry certification as well as training specific to how to build Joby's aircraft. Across a broad set of manufacturing tracks. One unique thing about the advanced air mobility industry and Joby in particular is we've decided to take a vertically integrated approach to our business. And by vertical integration from a business structure standpoint, we mean we've taken in our entire supply chain or most of our supply chain in-house. Because we're advancing in new technology that's never been used before, in some cases in any form of hardware or mobility, and certainly not in aerospace. And that vertical integration allows for us to have a broad subset of career opportunities for folks from entry points as apprentices all the way up to the engineers who design the components, the maintenance technicians who maintain the aircraft. And this pilot was really to prove, can we get talented folks, whether they have an automotive background, mostly agriculture. We have some seamstresses who use carbon fiber to make individual aircraft components by hand. And they're former seamstresses now, of course, because now they're manufacturing technicians and they make aircraft every day. But we've proven that it absolutely can be done with the right partnerships. And you'll hear from the folks on this stage who actually made this possible from a recruitment standpoint, and from an education standpoint, but we've proven that we can have tremendous success with this type of model, and have dramatically scaled our production in the region since the commencement of this apprenticeship a couple of years ago.
Indeed, and there was earlier mentioned a video that has a bit of a testimonial around this for one of our apprentices, which I will be coming next, but I did want to put this up here. This is a case study of this body of work that's been done. It's available on our website, and if everything works properly, that QR code will get you there, and it really goes into detail on how this came together, working across these different organizations. So I'd encourage anyone interested in that to capture that, and if you somehow miss it, follow up with us afterwards. We really think that hopefully this can inspire other parts of the industry and other parts of the state and the nation to look at this as a thing, especially as there's a lot of new stuff happening with the eVTOL companies, with the different technologies, and so it's an opportunity to build a workforce model forward that's really based on some insights and knowledge that I think is well demonstrated here, and I think really leads to great outcomes. So with that, I'm going to try to get our man Aurelio
I used to work in the field straight from agriculture, didn't know nothing, didn't know anything about aerospace. I was working as a butcher too, cutting up meat, serving people all the time. That's a big change from a butcher and from agriculture to aerospace. My name is Aurelio Ortiz. I'm from Greenfield, California, and my job title is Airframe Assembly Level 2. I wanted to be able to provide for myself, my family. Agriculture helped, but we all know it's not enough. And pursuing a career, something like this, it does help both financially and mentally, because you have a peace of mind that you come in every day, you know what you're doing, and you're always surrounded by great people too. I get to have fun with carbon, get to drill into some carbon, titanium, sometimes even aluminum, bond composites together, make sure that all of the composites are within spec, make sure that everything's within the millimeter range, ready for structural bonding. I'm hoping to use Joby to eventually go back to school. I am certified in aerospace now, but I do want to get certified in different fields. Stepping into something like this, aerospace, and being able to have the funds to be able to go to school really does help. I feel like I've grown enough to pursue for 15, probably even 20 years in the aerospace industry. Thankfully, Joby helped me get that with this apprenticeship. I mean, if someone from Greenfield can do it, anyone can do it. I want to go back to work.
Yeah, so, and I will, it's such a compelling story, narrative, and I will say that, we have developed, because of the history and the geography, a really close, productive working relationship with Joby, but many people think that the DART is funded by Joby, and I just want to clarify that that is not the case. Our biggest supporters have been the Irvine Foundation, and now we're growing a new set of community of supporters as well, certainly with the Eden 8 Foundation on this summit. And so I say that because, we are open and looking to find growing companies that we can build similar models and case studies with in the future. So I just want to put that out there, and Also, we want to be a resource for other regions. I know we have our friends from Ohio here and other states. We want to inspire what they're doing with this work, and so it's an open invitation to follow up with us after that. Next, I would like to turn to Maria Elena Manzo, who, as previously mentioned, is the founder and director of Mujeres en Acción. And actually, with all of that foundational work that she has done and the timing and how everything came together, it was really quite amazing in my experience. So Maria Elena, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that background and some of your experience in this storyline that we're talking about.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Yeah, so Mujeres en Acción is one of the community organizations that are part of the Salinas Inclusive Economic Development Initiative that is funded by the Irvine Foundation. And we, through the pandemic, I like the way you were referring to the pandemic. During the pandemic, we did a lot of learning. When we established the Community Health Working Project to address COVID, we realized that earn while learning is the way to go. We were able to hire people from the community as trusted messengers with the talent and the work ethics. Not necessarily the traditional prospects for those type of jobs, but they proved that they were the perfect candidates, and they were able to bring our COVID from the purple tier down to being one of the counties with more people vaccinated and less incidence of COVID. So that that was a big lesson that's what we need to go. People don't have the luxury of taking a year off to learn a skill, because they still have to pay the rent, they still have to feed their families. But if we find opportunities like that's it's amazing what we can do. And actually, Aurelio is one of our success stories. He is one of the youth that was recommended to job it through the connection with Mujeres en Acción. And when we heard about this opportunity, we thought, we need to keep digging into this. You know, we already saw what happens, how the families change, how their life changes, the pride on doing a job that is valued. And so we reached out to Joby. We met with Josh and Cody, and we started learning about the jobs, the opportunities that there were, and we realized through this that we were the solution to each other's problems. You know, they have high-paying jobs, and we had a talented, hardworking workforce for those jobs. So it was in our own interest to work together. So we've been working ever since and trying to figure out how to do more of this. When we heard about the expansion, and that Joby was looking at other places, we thought, what about us? So we met with, we have a long time relationship with Senator Caballero through COPA. And like Josh said, I've been a COPA leader for over 20 years. So we reached out to Senator Caballero and said, we need to work on this. So she assigned staff to work specifically with Joby and figure out how to make sure that some of those jobs stay here. At the same time, she worked on SB 800, air mobility, advanced air mobility bill, to make sure that this was the base for continuing that type of thing. So what we have learned is that we all benefit from inclusive economic development. You know, the employers need the workforce, and the workforce needs the jobs, and so we are there for each other. But one thing that we learned is that not one sector can do it on their own. You know, we need each other. So we need the educational system, and we need the employers, and we need the foundations, and we need all these pieces that come together in order to really advance and on something that is very important for everybody and that it benefits everyone. So a very diverse group of people, including non-traditional, me, in that group, worked really hard to make sure that that there was the Joby applied for the Cal Competes grant, and it was interesting. You see the picture there. That it was the CFO and Cody and me, shoulder to shoulder for the interview for the Cal Competes grant, and that got him a $9 million. So we learned how to do that, and we want to continue doing that. We realize that we have to think outside the box and create relationships that are not the typical relationships, that we need to be creating these relationships in order to advance, and that what we are doing, we're making sure that things that are the inclusive economy is done with the community, not for the community, and that means listening to the employers. What are their needs? What are the skills that they're looking in the workforce? And listening to the community, what are the challenges? What do they need to be able to learn the skills that are needed for jobs like Joby and other Jobbies that will be coming to our area? So that's what we've been doing, and we're really proud of what we're doing, and we want to continue doing that. We're continue looking for new employers that are willing to work and seeing the success that happens when we work together, and looking forward to continue this.
Indeed. Thank you for that. So the story continues here on the stage, and I'll turn now, I believe, to Dr. Becca Fenwick to talk a bit about the citrus and cider programs, particularly around drone pilot training as an entree into the aerospace mindset.
Absolutely. So, like many of the other stories up here on stage, we started in the pandemic. So I, at the time, was working on ecological research using drones and had a lot of conversations with faculty and interested students who were like, what are these flying things? How do we use them? And through those conversations and conversations with other people on campus and Michael Matkin, we decided to start a drone education and research program at UCSC. Initially, we were thinking, let's train our students on how to fly drones, get the pilot's license, learn what they need to do to use it in teaching and research. But through the conversations in our community, with funding agencies, working with Hartnell, and seeing what was going on with Joby, we realized that drones are more than that, right? Drones are starting to be ubiquitous. They're in so many different industries, and we can see that they're going to be even more. And so having the skills to do that and get into those industries will be transformative for lots of different communities. So we've been working closely with Hartnell and Digital Nest and other education nonprofits and community-based organizations in the region to bring that pilot training model to the people in the community, to those schools, and adapt it for different industry and different types of training. So the basic understanding of how to use a drone is very easy, but then what do you do with it in terms of, are you starting a business? What kind of business? Are you working in agriculture? Are you, working in cinematography? All different aspects of the community and industries are amazing. So developing integrated programs of bringing those skills that we hear that employers want in their students and their future employees, business training, all the soft skills that you hear about. How do you integrate those into a program with drone training and create a really well-rounded student and potential future employee? So it's been amazing working with our community to get that up and running. We've done our pilot programs, and now thanks to Uplift funding, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, we're going to be bringing that training to more schools. So we're going to be talking to the high schools in our Tri-County area, and also bringing in the other community colleges that we want to work more closely with to have that pilot training program and integrate that into other training sequences of business, agriculture, and that kind of thing. And one of the things that I think is particularly amazing that ties into the airspace mobility is thinking about drone skills and pilot skills as a stackable credential. And so one of the things that you can do with this is it's very similar to getting your pilot's license. A lot of the information is the same. And so bringing that understanding and combining it with, a seamstress or an engineer so that they then understand how air mobility works and they have that context for the work that they're doing, enables them to have transferable skills to all sorts of different opportunities in airspace mobility as well, which has been really, really cool.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Stackable, connectable pathway programs. And that's a great entree for Jackie to tell us a little bit more about what's happening in Hartnell. And given Hartnell's location at the center of the salad bowl of the world, really there's a strong connection with the workforce needs of that industry, and we call that the ag tech arena. So,
thank you, Josh. Well, I feel like I'm playing soccer up here. My heartbeat is like this right now, so don't mind me if my breath, if I'm a little out of breath here. So I want to say first, my name is Jackie Cruz. I was born with the berries in Watsonville, and then I migrated to the leafy greens in the Salinas Valley. And my parents both worked in agriculture as farm workers for the majority of their life. So in many ways, the work that we're doing to advance technology, to advance jobs, to advance quality jobs, it's in honor of those people that have come before us, that have worked the lands and that have sacrificed a lot to come here and to do better. So there's a lot of sort of intrinsic passion that comes with the work that we're doing. So I'm going to have to go back all the way to 2007 when Hartnell College decided to revitalize its dying agricultural program with one classroom, one computer, one part-time instructor, and no real relationships with the ag industry. At that time, we sought out to ask for the industry, 3 major leaders in the industry to reconnect with Hartnell, forgive us for not having a robust program for 30 years, and get back on board and help us do this thing and revitalize this ag program to become one of the best in the state. Fast forward in 2012, we had another very important investment from Mr. Andy Matsui and the Matsui Foundation to launch the computer science in 3 years, a baccalaureate program with CSUMB to start to have a robust computer science workforce that was kind of early for its times here in the Salinas Valley, Monterey County, because the first cohorts that graduated from that program mostly left us to go to the Bay Area for tech jobs, which is another motivator of why we wanted to continue to work with industry and the leaders in the community to build a STEM ecosystem. In 2012, we were lucky, Teresa Matsui, I know you're here somewhere, helped us chair, you're there, helped us chair the President STEM Task Force. That President STEM Task Force has 30 plus business and industry leaders, nonprofit sector folks who are helping to build that STEM ecosystem. And with Teresa's help, we created a vision for that. So a lot of this work is not overnight. It's not sort of one and done thing. It is a continued and relentless commitment to relationships across sector that really build upon each other to build integration and what we call now mutuality. What is beneficial to the workforce, beneficial to the industry, beneficial to the economic vibrancy of the communities. And so now here we are, we've invested over $100 million in 2 very significant built environment structures. One at the center of the Alisal. For those of you that don't know, the Alisal is, others call it East Salinas, but the OGs know it's the Alisal. And so it is a beautiful community, very dense, and formerly one of the most criminally impacted and gang-impacted communities in the whole state. And so we decided to make an investment and build the Center for Advanced Technology at the Alisal campus for a very specific reason. We also decided to host the Computer Science in 3-year program in that facility. We also decided to have the first associate's degree in mechatronics for a community college in California in that building. So there's an intentional investment in built environment where possibly communities haven't seen themselves as invested before. And so this has led to thanks to the James Irvine Foundation, who funded us in about 2018, funded the first big grant for our Earn and Learn model, which was through a visioning process, again with industry, to build what we call the Career Hub. And this Career Hub connects employers with our students and provides a variety of options that are flexible to the industry. So when we worked with Joby, for example, we had not worked with the startup company anymore, and we honestly didn't know how to do it. We were just learning as we went and trying to figure out how do we best support Joby. So I definitely will not take credit for, we did not know that the ag work that we were doing in mechatronics and the STEM work we were doing in computer science, that was going to support the AAM industry. You never know who you work for, I guess. So we have to thank the ag industry for their early investments and then the rest of the folks. But mechatronics, which is a combination of, or an infusion of mechanical, electrical, and robotics infused together, those same skills that we're teaching for ag mechatronics are applicable as per Joby to the workforce that they need. So now we're sort of figuring out how do we embed that intentionally into the work that we're doing. So anyway, this is the first built environment investment that I was talking about, and this is the second one. This is a 57,000 square foot facility which houses our paid research internship program, one of the largest in the country for community colleges. And also we have an engineering certificate and engineering transfer pathways. We host a STEM research symposium every year. And then we have over 30 plus partnerships with research institutions, industry, and universities. And one thing where I'll sort of stop, because this is more of what we're doing now and into the future. And I think this is important for Hartnell when you think about sort of how does Hartnell work and what makes it a little different. I think you have to be, aside from a teaching institution or a higher education institution or a workforce development institution, you have to be a learning institution. Because if you don't listen and learn of what is relevant, then how do you know what to teach? So first, I think you have to be a listening and a learning organization and continue to be very intentional about listening to the community, listening to the industry. Our partnerships with our community-based organizations over the last maybe 3-4 years have really developed into something very significant. We believe that we're good at some things, but we're not good at others. For example, in organizing and community organizing, and organizing is not a bad word. I always say people don't be kind of freaked out about the word organizing. Organizing is a good thing. People have to get together and figure out how to collectively work toward an advancement of society and the community. And so anyway, with our community-based organizations really finding those common grounds and having them be part of the decision-making tables is something that we're very excited about and that we look forward to integrating more into the future.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you. And this graphic here is reference to what was talked about in the panel before, and is just really linking all of this work with the state strategy. And we see ourselves squarely in that. And as we move to towards the end of this panel, we're going to have to jump through some material a little faster than we thought, but I think there's some really important things here for everyone to be aware of. Next, I wanted to throw up, this is our DART board. I referenced we have a 5-person DART board leading our organization, but this DART board is one that we conceived of really at the beginning, which illustrates all the different verticals where these technologies have value, and a focus in them, can lead to tradable sector outcomes and jobs growth, and it's kind of a framework for how we look at what we're doing. And just generally, the vision of a AAM and UAS anchored tech hub centered here, focused on these categories, that's regionally relevant, regionally coordinated, and future relevant. That's a vision for where we're headed. And we have very particular opportunities that we're looking at in electric aircraft maintenance with the growth of Joby and other electric aircraft companies. There's a huge need, not only just generally as aircraft maintenance technicians. I know Jason Curtis is here from Questa. They have a great program down there. We're connecting with other colleges. Gavilan has one. And we're looking to lean into this area. Air and ground space operations is a big opportunity. And if you haven't been outside to see the Skyway nav pod, go out there and check it out. It's amazing, and I think it represents some of those opportunities. And then thirdly, in the field operations, particularly in this picture around agricultural applications. And so all of these things are really exciting, and so we're going to go through and just kind of give you some updates of how this is going to move quickly forward. So the first thing I want to do is just announce that we're so grateful to have a renewal grant from the Irvine Foundation to continue this body of work over the next 2 years. And Liz, if you want to add anything to that announcement.
I think what's exciting is the momentum that's really growing out of the initial investments and community-based organizations and partnership with Monterey County Community Foundation, with the Salinas Inclusive Economic Development Initiative, the work that MBEP's been doing with partners to do the broad-based economic development planning, the work that DART's been doing to go deep with the industry lens. What we're excited is to keep that momentum moving forward and to expand on the success of the workforce partnership and really set DART up to be able to continue to partner with other private industry, to partner with community-based organizations, but also really to lean into some of the critical infrastructure work that is needed in order to create more opportunities in the region and to continue to diversify and expand on the industry base to grow more good jobs and economic opportunity in the region.
Thank you for that. And we are so grateful to the Irvine Foundation for that support. That keeps us cooking for another couple years, and we're hoping to just grow the impact and from there. In addition to that, as was previously mentioned, there's been some awards made from the state of California. Each of us up here have been able to tap into that support, particularly around the electric aircraft maintenance technician, and those 3 areas that I outlined. I think, Cody, if you want to say anything about quickly about the aircraft maintenance technician apprenticeship thing that we're moving on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just quickly say that many of you in the room have seen in mainstream news talk about the global pilot shortage, and there's not enough pilots, and that's true. And it's painful for our global transportation system. As it turns out, the aircraft maintenance technician shortage is worse, not by volume, but as a percentage of the existing workforce, the deficit is larger. So it's a major issue, and as all of us in this room, the reason we're here is because we're passionate about advanced air mobility, this new sector in aviation and aerospace. It's a new sector that will not cannibalize the existing sector at all, meaning we're adding additional demand for air travel, and that means additional demand for workforce. Aircraft maintenance technicians is a key part of that, and so there's a number of initiatives that we're involved in, this group. One of those key ones, though, around electric aircraft is ensuring that we give folks a path to a mechanics certification through the Federal Aviation Administration that will qualify them to work on any aircraft through an apprenticeship, much like the manufacturing apprenticeship program. So folks who can't afford to take 2 years to enroll in a full-time education program can earn and learn and get that certification as part of their day-to-day job.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to reporting back in a year on how that is going, along with these other activities. Becca, if you just want to quickly touch on this one.
So like everyone else up here, we have very gratefully built on the funding that Irvine has given us and have gotten an Uplift Central Coast grant, basically taking the curriculum that we developed at UCSC and partnering with local community colleges and high schools to train the trainers and bring that curriculum to the schools that they can then give to their students, and using funding to also do the pay-as-you-learn model as well to support students and teachers as they go through that program.
Fantastic. It's so exciting to see all this. Maria Elena.
Yeah, we also got funded by Uplift to create a workforce intermediary that will include employers, workers, the community-based organization that will be able to help people like Aurelio see themselves on those jobs. Funders that are going to help with providing services, wraparound services that can help and support for the community to be able to take the training, and of course educators. So that's our goal for the next 16 months, is to create that workforce intermediary, and we're looking for high road jobs in demand, and each of us has a role to play in this. The community, we have motivated, semi-skilled, hardworking, already housed people. We don't have to worry about housing. And the community-based organization job is to see who's ready for the change and what type of support do they need to get to where they can be part of the apprenticeships happening. And we want to create something that is going to help individualize support, making sure what is it that the employee, the workforce needs. You know, is it child care? Is it gas money? What is it that they need in order to be successful? And a key component to that, to the intermediary, is to have a career coach that is constantly checking with the person that is taking the training to make sure on accountability, connecting them to anything that they need, making sure that they are receiving anything, all the support that they need to be successful. With the training, I said that we were talking to employers and potential employees, and to be able to design the training that is necessarily, rather than not everybody is prepared to graduating from college, but what are the skills that they need for specific jobs. So that's, and of course, working with the employers is to make sure that that there's job placements, that they're training for specific jobs that are not an idea, but real jobs that are out there, and helping them with the resumes, interviews, anything that they need in order for see more stories like Aurelio's, and actually Claudia Hernandez is here, and two of her daughters, her brother, my God, her sons are in working for Joby. So the way life change is amazing. So if anybody here is interested to learning more about it, we have some COPA leaders that if you can raise your hand that you can talk to and learn more about what we're doing. So, yeah.
Perfect. Great to see this progress. Thank you for that, Maria Elena. Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. So our next big project is the name of our project is called Roots of Resilience, and building a strong ag tech ecosystem. And so we'll be working with our CBOs, Mujeres en Acción, La Cultiva. We're going to work with Rancho Cielo, Digital Nest, as well as others to build the workforce in that regard with earn and learn models, as well as with ag drone training and ag tech experience. And probably some of you may know of the reservoir, so I'm going to go ahead and just read real quickly here what reservoir is. So reservoir aims to revolutionize innovation for ag tech and working lands by combining venture capital, autonomous systems, and robotics development and on-farm incubation. Reservoir farms will be opening first in California's Central Valley and the Salinas Valley before scaling globally, to provide startups with real-world testing environments, equipment access, and industry partnerships So this unique ecosystem accelerates ag tech development and adoption, focusing on AI, robotics, and precision ag to provide solutions to address labor shortages, cost, and sustainability in specialty crop productions. So it won't just create quality jobs, but also create access to capital for those that want to start up ag tech companies. And we hope that some of our students and our local community get access to that capital and access to those opportunities.
So exciting. Thank you for that, and thank you to the panelists for a great panel.